he's like, man, I just can't, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. Like, I think I love you. And so when he said it, I was so taken aback because I'm like, did he just say he loved me? So I was in shock. I am in shock, y'all. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Like, what? Yo, party people, it's Ashley of SingleWomanChronicles.com, where being single is a beautiful choice rather than a miserable circumstance. And today's story time is brought to you by my book series, Single Woman Chronicles, an Atlanta love story, kinda. This is a 2-book series. Book 3 is coming out soon. And it's just basically about a young lady in Atlanta dating. And she is having the time of her life. Not really. Because every time she's dating these people, they keep trying to play her. So she was dating this one guy, and he just ended up popping up on Instagram, y'all, with a whole nother chick. Didn't tell her nothing and just ghosted her. And then she's trying to get over him. This guy named Mo comes along and he's rocking her world, y'all. But then all of a sudden her ex comes back into the picture. So now she's like, bye, I don't need you. I don't want you, but do I? And then Mo started acting weird. So she got to figure out what's going on. So y'all can get this book right now at Amazon.com. It's actually free on Books on Google Play, the first copy. It's not a physical copy. It is an ebook that is free, but go to Books on Google Play and you can pick up that first copy for free and get to reading because it is juicy. And it's also on Audible for those people who don't like to read. All right, today's story time, because it is Valentine's Day week. I wanted to talk about a love story, a life story, I should say. And this was the first time that a man made me feel worthy. And I know that the world is like, oh, you're supposed to make yourself feel worthy. You're supposed to be worthy every single day. You're supposed to know that you're that chick and blah, 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 blah. But let's be honest, we don't always know that. There's no class teaching us self-worth. There's no course telling us, like, this is how you do it. This is what it is. This is what you should do. This is how you should move. That should start in elementary school, really preschool, but it doesn't. So many times in life, we're going through and we don't know our worth. A lot of people's worth is founded upon external things. Even though it's called self-worth, a lot of people only know their worth through physical things or through compliments or through their jobs. They're defining themselves by that kind of stuff. So this was the first time a man made me feel worthy. So let's get into it. So as you guys know, I grew up, I was insecure growing up, mostly because I got bullied. In my household, I didn't have that person telling me you're beautiful, you're worthy, you're enough, blah, blah, blah. So I pretty much had low self-esteem throughout middle school, throughout high school, throughout college, throughout my 20s. And so this happened around, I was 20 at the time. And I was this was like my first relationship when I was 20. And I was in a verbally abusive relationship. And I probably will touch on that in another story time. But I didn't know it was a verbally abusive relationship at the time because that really wasn't spoken about much back then, but it was definitely verbally abusive. So this human being would call me out of my name. They would basically tell me I was unattractive sometimes. They would tell me that they didn't like my outfit. He actually called me a hoe once. It was just a lot, and I didn't know that it was abusive until years later. He didn't put his hands on me, but it was definitely verbally abusive. So yeah. So this was my junior year in college, and then I took a few months off to do what's called the Disney College Program. So this is basically an internship with Disney, and you take a semester off and you travel to Orlando, Florida, and you work in the park for one semester, which is 4 or 5 months. So it was a great opportunity. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, they be lying. It ain't no internship where you thinking internship, you thinking you gonna go put on a suit, you're gonna be in corporate office, whatever. No, they're gonna put you in a costume. You're gonna work in the Disney park. You heard what I said. You're gonna get paid minimum wage, but it's gonna build character. Okay. It's gonna build hustle. Okay. It's gonna build resourcefulness, because when you broke and you can't afford food, you're gonna have to figure it out. It's going to build networking skills, because when you're broke and you ain't got no food, you're going to have to build a community around you because y'all going to have to eat together. Okay. So yes. So when I went to the Disney college program, right before I went, the guy who was verbally abusive broke up with me because he's like, you're not trustworthy. I can't trust you in Orlando. You're going to cheat on me. So bye. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm a little bit broken up about it, but whatever. So around this time was when the natural movement was starting. So I decided to do the big chop. And this was before the YouTube girlies could tell you how to manage natural hair. So I was basically a deer in the headlights. This was like 2009. So I did the big chop. My hair was like maybe 3 inches, and I had it straightened when I went there, but it was natural. So I didn't know what to do with it. So most of the time my hair looked crazy, and it made me feel insecure and even more unattractive because I already feel bad because I'm just coming out of this verbally abusive relationship. And then I go and I chop my hair off for a new beginning, and I don't know what to do with it. So now I feel physically unattractive. So I kind of just don't know what to do. Now, the thing about my insecurity back then was you wouldn't know unless you knew me, for real. Like it was still even hard to tell even if you knew me, because I was very good at hiding it, because I seemed confident, because I still dressed nice. I still, was a happy person, joyful person, but like deep down inside, the way I carry myself with men mostly, you could see my insecurities then. So I was still like outside and having fun, but I really didn't feel that good about myself. So I'm at this pool party the first weekend that I went to Orlando, and I meet this guy, and I'm gonna call him Justin. So I meet Justin, and we saw each other at the pool party, and we're just like making eye contact, but we didn't end up exchanging numbers. So I was just like, okay, it was what it was. Now, when I first saw him, I just thought he was so cute, y'all. Like, he was my type at the time. Like, physically, he was everything. Like, he was like 6'4". He was light. He had a nice outfit on. I love a guy who can dress. And he just seemed like the cool guy, like the guy that all the girls would want. So ended up leaving, and then the next day we were at orientation, and all of a sudden I turn around and he's right next to me, and I like did a double take. I'm like, oh, that's him, but I didn't think nothing of it. And then 2 minutes later he looked and he was like, weren't you at the pool party yesterday? I said, yeah. He's like, didn't you do the hula hoop contest? And I started laughing. I'm like, yeah, I did the hula hoop contest. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw you there. I wanted to talk to you, but I didn't get a chance to say anything, but can I have your number? So we exchanged numbers. So we started texting, and like we were inseparable for the first 2 weeks. And then a whole situation came up, y'all, because he thought I should have given him the booty within the first 2 weeks of meeting him. Mind you, we're 20, we're in college, and he's probably that guy back on campus. So he's probably used to that, but I'm like, what are you talking? I don't even know you like that yet. Like, what is we saying? What is we talking about? Like, what? So I ended up spazzing on him, and we stopped talking after that. And it was a whole scene, y'all. I really wish I remembered what I said because it was so funny. So when he confronted me about it, we were at like a pool party, another pool party, but it was more intimate. And so like the friends I had made were there too. And so he asked me, he was like, it's been 2 weeks. Like, what's up? And so I just started talking about all the things that you couldn't do in 2 weeks. I was like, 2 weeks? 2 weeks? You can't even such and such in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? You don't even get your first check in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? You can't even plant a plant and it grow or sprout in 2 weeks. I just was going on and on. So it was so funny. And I remember like him walking away in embarrassment because like all you heard was 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So anyway, fast forward, I was like upset about it, but I was like, whatever, it is what it is. So we didn't talk at all for them 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, I can't remember how he got back in my good graces, but I think he either texted me out of the blue or something, but because I think I had him blocked. But he got through the channel some kind of way, because like 2 weeks later, he came crawling back and was like, I'm sorry, and I still want to try this with you, and blah, blah, blah. So at that point, like, we was on. So we were the Disney college program. We were one of the couples, like, kind of like the superlatives in high school. We were like the cutest, one of the cutest couples. So everybody knew like that was my dude and I was his girl. And that was the first time I had ever experienced that because I hadn't had it in high school, hadn't had it in college. And then this was like a popular guy. So it was just cool. And then it made me feel even better because this was a time where I felt my ugliest because I had just cut all my hair off. I'm usually wearing weaves at the time, but I'm in this new place. I don't have nobody to do my hair, so I have to wear my natural hair or I got to try to play with it. So it was just a whole thing. So to be in this relationship where I did not feel worthy, but I had a man who made me feel worthy, it just was like the best thing ever. We talk about mental health a lot, but are you taking charge of your mental health journey? You already know I talk about going to therapy and how my therapist snatches my edges all the time, asking me questions that I would have never thought to ask myself, asking me questions that I've pondered on for years. But I want that for you. I want growth for you. I want the best version of yourself because the only way to reach your goal, your potential, your destiny is to become the best version of yourself. And let that begin with therapy. So let's start with Talkspace. Talkspace has a promotion right now where you can get $100 off your first month. All you need is the code SPACE. Yes, SPACE, SPACE. Click the link in the description box to get Talkspace right now today. Let's start 2023 off right. We out here. I already told y'all we out here. So get it right now. Click the link wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple, it's in the description box, even YouTube. Get it right now. $100 off. Like $100, that's a lot of money. Y'all better come get this. Come get this therapy. Come get this therapy. He always called me beautiful. He was always present. Like, he always wanted me out on his arm. He would tell, like, it was times where I would go out to a party or something with my friends and he wasn't there. Maybe he had to work or whatever. And then people would come up to me and be like, that boy likes you so much. Like, he always talking about you. Like, it's crazy, blah, 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 blah. And I'm just, it just was a weird feeling. And I still light up about it, even though, like, we didn't end up together. But that was one of the moments in my life where I'm just like, dang, you can feel this from a relationship? Like, a guy can make you feel worthy even when you don't feel worthy in yourself. Now, I do not recommend that. Like, I do recommend that you already have worth within yourself, because if you don't, what happens is if that person lets you down or disappoints you, or in the relationship ends up ending or something crazy happens and that person is no longer with you, then your worth is going to be affected and you're not going to feel worthy anymore. So it's definitely best. But at that point in my life, I had never had anyone come into my life and make me feel like that. So it was just a beautiful thing. So we still dating and everything. And this was like month 3 of the program. And we still had like a month and a half or something left. And he ended up telling me he loved me. And that was like a beautiful moment. And so the I love you moment was funny. Okay, let me talk about that. So we were sitting on the couch in my place and we were watching TV, and he looked at me. He was like, I can't believe, like, in a month or so, like, we're not going to be able to be together like this, because I lived in Atlanta. He lived in another state that I'm not going to say, but he didn't live in Atlanta. So he's like, man, I just can't, I don't know what I'm going to do without you. Like, I think I love you. And so when he said it, I was so taken aback, because I'm like, did he just say he loved me? So I was in shock. I am in shock, y'all. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Like, what? So I didn't say it back, and I could tell he was a little frustrated. So he ended up going home. We were still chilling that evening, but he left like a few hours later. And so the next day, I woke up, and this is when Nicki Minaj's song "You See Right Through Me" was out. So I was taking a nap or something, and I woke up to that song playing. And when I heard it, I'm just like, oh my God, that's him. Like, he sees right through me. And it was just like a moment where I'm like, oh my God, I have to go and run and tell him. And so we didn't have our cars there. So we used to ride these little buses from like complex to complex because he lived in another one. So I went, put some clothes on, jumped on the bus, ran to his door, and I'm knocking or whatever. I didn't call or nothing. And then he opens the door and I'm like, oh my God, I love you too. And then we hug and embrace, and I think I cried, and it was just like a whole moment. And so it was just so great, you guys. Like, I was in my own little movie, and we even had like a prom at the Disney College program, and we went to the prom together, and it was just so cute. It was just such a beautiful moment. And I hope every woman gets to feel that at least once. I can't wait to feel it again. And the next time I feel it, I know it's going to be my forever. So I'm just hopeful for that. We didn't end up together afterwards because once we left and separated from the college program, he went his separate way, I went my separate way, and he just started acting weird. Like, immediately afterwards, like, he started acting weird, and I'm thinking, like, maybe he had a girl back home, and I didn't know about, I don't know, but the moment we had there was cool. Now, my poor little heart, because I had never experienced that again, and I didn't really feel worthy, like, I held on to the false hope of him, because he would, like, come back to my life, like, every 6 months, and peep his head in, and then leave out again. But it just didn't. And I ended up going to visit him like 2 years after the college program, just because I still had that false hope in my heart, like, it can still work, it can still be. Y'all, let me tell you, the next level breadcrumbing he would do to me, like, one time on Twitter, one day, out of nowhere, like a year after the college program, mind you, he's been ignoring me. He hasn't been talking to me. We haven't been talking at all. Like, as soon as we got back, I hit him up that first week. He texted me back once, and then, like, he didn't text me for, like, 3 days. And I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I just been busy. And then I hit him up again, and he didn't respond to me. And after that, I was, like, crushed. And I just started crying and grieving him and just like, okay, it's over. That's cool. So, like, a year later, y'all heard what I said, a year. He hits me up, and he's like, I'm so sorry for what I did to you. It's just, I had some stuff back home. I had to get situated, but honestly, like, I feel like you're the love of my life. Like, I feel like we belong together. Y'all, he go on Twitter, and he's telling Twitter, like, do you think you met the love of your life? I think I met the love of my life, and blah, 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 whatever. And then he was texting me. He was like, I promise you, I'm going to start texting you again, hitting you up. We're going to FaceTime. I'm going to come visit you, all this. Y'all, that lasted. Y'all, that lasted for like a week. And then he ghosted again. Like, come on, y'all. But let me tell y'all how small my world is, okay? Me and my best friend joke because my world is the size of a marble. So one day after I'm over this whole situation, at least I thought. So this was like a year and some change, like after he had pulled that stunt on Twitter. And that really didn't hurt my feelings because I was kind of over it. But like, if you wanted to come back, that would be great. But only if you're going to act like you acted in Orlando. But so this how small our world is. So I'm out one night, and this fine guy comes up to me, approaches me, talks to me, we exchange numbers, whoop-de-whoop. So I hang out with this dude, and he's telling me, oh, I went to this college. And I said, oh, I know somebody who went to that college. He's like, I'm with this fraternity. I said, I know somebody that went to that college who's from that fraternity. So I'm talking about the dude. I'm talking about Justin. And I said, you know somebody named Justin? He said, yeah, that was my line brother. Y'all, that's how small my world is. So I meet a dude who knows the love of my life at the time. I meet him a year after leaving Orlando in a whole nother city, in a bar out of nowhere. Like, why is my world this small? So, of course, me being petty, and I'm in my early 20s at the time, of course I dated him. Like, this was get back for me. Like, what? You think I'm not? I'm petty out here. I'm petty. Yeah, I'm petty. So, ended up dating a friend, but nothing happened with us. Like, it didn't go anywhere. And there was an instance where Justin came to visit, And of course, Justin brought me around the friend. And we hung out, and this was like within the same year. Because of course I was still holding on to some like this small bit of false hope. Because I had big false hope, but it was like shrinking. And then Justin came to visit, and we hung out, and then we hung out with the friend that I had met and dated. And I remember us sitting by the pool, and the friend came next to me, just real discreetly. We're both looking straight, sitting by the pool, and the friend is like, "Does he know?" I said, "Nope." He's like, "Oh, all right, cool." And then got up and walked away. So to this day, he still don't know that like I dated his friend, but oh well. But anyway, so eventually I let him go because I realized that it was just a moment. Maybe it was God showing me that, you know, I can have a love that isn't toxic, a love that's not emotionally abusive, a love that's not verbally abusive, a love that doesn't speak down on me, a love that recognizes my beauty even when I don't feel beautiful. So it was just a good moment, and I'm glad I got to experience that. But again, I'm still waiting on that moment again in my life so I can be with that forever. Yeah, I want that forever, ever, forever, ever. So yeah, just to encourage you guys. I don't want y'all love story to end like mine. But it's still a moment. There are still men out there. And I've had other situations that were better than that. But next week, maybe I'll bring up the verbal abuse and how to recognize verbal abuse and how to nip that in the bud and move on, because it ain't what you want. But all right, till next time. Bye.